Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Vylon Yugioh deck profile for December 2023. It's been a good couple years since the last Vylon update. This is one of the more forgotten decks from the Hidden Arsenal storyline, but there's always the chance that we'll have Hidden Arsenal Chapter 2 released soon, and with it we'll have a bunch of reprints for the Vylon cards, making it so this deck will be a little more relevant for people wanting to look into a potential equip spell fun deck to play, and Vylons definitely do fit into that category, having plenty of different equip spells to run with the different union monsters you play in the deck as well. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the 3-ofs for our Vylons, we run 3 copies of Vylon Cube. If it's sent to the graveyard for the synchro summon of a light monster, you can add 1 equipped spell from your deck to your hand. So it's not a once per turn searcher, so you can add a good variety of the many different Vylon spells that we run in the deck off of this card search, just for the initial play of what the deck is meant to do, and that is summoning out our many different Vylon synchro monsters as well. So 3 cube being your tuner. It also works well for the non-tuners that we run in the deck to be able to summon out our go-to bigger boss monsters as well, with one of our tuners being Vylon Prism, which we're running 3 copies of. If it's sent from the monster card zone to the graveyard, you can pay 500 life points, target 1 face-up monster you control, equip this card to that target. If the equipped monster attacks or is attacked, it gains 1000 attack during damage step only. So more search power with this card being able to make use of the go-to plays you may want to. For the different equipped monsters, we do have the Power Tool Dragon set up with this lineup as well. So being able to just have another monster to be able to target to gain an additional equip card to our Power Tool Dragon is an added plus as well, with the last of our 3-ofs for the Vylon monsters being 3 copies of Vylon Sphere. If this card is sent from the monster card zone to the graveyard, you can pay 500 life points, target 1 face-up monster you control, equip this card to that target, and you can send this equip card to the graveyard to target 1 equip spell in your graveyard and equip that target to the monster this card was equipped to. So giving you more options, with Vylon Sphere also being just having to be sent from the monster card zone to the graveyard, so it doesn't even have to be for a synchro summon. We can use it for link plays and easily send it off to the graveyard to gain the same equip effect if we have that other monster that we have on the field that we control to rightfully equip it to. And then for the lower numbers for our Vylon monsters, running 1 copy of Vylon Vanguard. When it's destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can draw 1 card. And also, you can equip that card that was equipped to this card onto it as well. For each equipped card that was on it, you draw 1 card. So the more cards that you have equipped onto it, whether it be your Vylon monsters or the different equipped spells, it helps with that. But also, we needed to run a couple non-tuners to be able to equip onto with our Vylon monsters, or at least have another tuner to be able to summon out with them, and our Vylon Vanguard fits that spot, along with the Vylon Hept. Once per turn, you can target a Vylon monster card you control that is an equipped card and special summon that target in defense position, banish it when it leaves the field. I thought of running more copies of Hept. If you were to do so, you can drop down the number of Prism to 2 and put in a 2nd copy of this card, with the other Vylons being 1 copy of Vylon Tetra. If it's sent from the monster card zone to the graveyard, you can pay 500 life points to target a face-up monster you control, equip this card to that target, so then also protecting it, because then if it would be destroyed, you can destroy the equip card instead. 1 Vylon Stella for the same equip effect to target a face-up monster you control, and equip it if it's sent from the monster card zone to the graveyard. So more and more resources just to equip onto your many different Vylon monsters, with our last being Vylon Pentachloro. Once per turn, you can either target 1 face-up Vylon monster you control, equip this card to that target, or unequip it and special summon it in face-up attack position, giving you more of a resource on the field to use as well. And if it destroys an opponent's monster by battle while it was equipped to that monster, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy it. Being another non-tuner, you have a couple options, because we don't run as many non-tuners to tuners, but that also will come into play with some of the equip spells we run for our setup, with the last of the main deck monsters being 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Just a hand trap of choice, because we do have sort of a restriction play style in the deck as well with some of our traps that we're running, so just another hand trap on top of those traps to stop any of our opponent's searches or graveyard setup. And moving on now to the spells. Now, for some of the Vylon spells, there are some numbers that I wanted to mix around a little better, and that is with Vylon Segment and Vylon Material. I have 3 material in here, and each Vylon equip spell adds more of a search, being able to add a Vylon spell card from your deck to your hand, which these cards help with the initial search, being able to add the lower number of Vylon spells. Vylon Segment, you equip it to a Vylon monster. It cannot be targeted by your opponent's monster effects or trap effects, and if this face-up card on the field is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Vylon spell from your deck to your hand. Material has the same search effect, but it only gives your Vylon monster an additional 600 attack for the equip power. So if you wanted to, you can switch around the numbers of these cards, giving you 1 Vylon material in the deck, and then having 3 Segment, since Segment keeps your monsters more safe from your opponent's trap effects and also the monster effects they may have while you go for your synchro play. So if you can get your bigger Vylon synchro monsters out on the field and have it equipped with Segment, all the better as well. For some of the lower numbers for the Vylon equip spells, 1 copy of Vylon Filament, equip only to a Vylon monster. The equipped monster attacks, your opponent can activate spell or traps until the end of damage step. And then having another Vylon spell card search, 1 Vylon Component, equip only to a Vylon monster. If it attacks a defense monster, inflict piercing battle damage, and then having the spell search effect again as well. And for the non-Vylon equip spells, basically, 1 copy of Vylon Polytype, target any number of Vylon monsters you control that are equipped cards, special summon them in face-up defense position, banish them when they leave the field, giving you more resources, but still you're banishing them, so you're missing out on more of the equip power that they may have. The 1 copy of Vylon Element, 1-ofs for these as well because they are searchable with the other spells when the spell is sent to the graveyard for the search, but Vylon Element, when 1 or more face-up Vylon equip cards you control are destroyed except during the damage step, you can special summon an equal or lower number of Vylon Tuner monsters from your deck. They cannot be used as synchro material except for the synchro summon of a Vylon synchro monster, which we do run a good variety of in the deck to begin with, so no problem there. With the last of our Vylon spells being the 2 copies of Vylon Matter. Select 3 equipped spells in your graveyard, return them to the deck, and apply 1 of these effects. You can either draw a card or destroy 1 card your opponent controls. So pretty good for the recycle power with our equipped spells as well, just being able to have this draw power if we went first, or if we have a card of our opponents that we need to destroy as well to then take care of. And then for some of the more generic spells, I run 2 copies of Pot of Prosperity, just because you do need some of those specific cards in the deck to make the deck work. So for giving up some of your extra deck, you can at least check the top cards of your deck and add the needed ones thanks to this. Also 2 copies of Double Summon. For some of the plays, just that additional normal summon definitely does come down to making the plays work, getting our tuner and our non-tuner on the field for the synchro play. And for more graveyard setup, for even some of our equip spells, 2 copies of Forbidden Droplet, just being able to send that spell to the graveyard to stop a monster effect while then also gaining that spell effect of the equip spell makes it a great search option also. And then lastly, the 1 Call by the Grave. I thought of running Monster Reborn just for another resource to grab onto the field, but wanted this more so my opponent doesn't stop any of my own searches for my specific Vylon spells. And then for the traps, 3 copies of Goes in Match. We really only go into light monsters with our Vylon monsters in the main deck, so this can really restrict a good number of decks that play more than 1 type of attribute in the deck. And then also the 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, just for the other hand trap option along with Ash Blossom that I mentioned before. Moving on now to the extra deck, I run 2 copies of Vylon Omega. With this card, you need 2 tuners and 1 non-tuner Vylon monster. So this also being our main go-to boss monster is where the majority of more of the tuners comes into play, because then we have our non-tuner, our tuner, and then 1 additional tuner monster to make this boss monster. And with Vylon Omega, when it's synchro summoned, destroy all face-up monsters that were normal summoned or set. Once per turn, you can target 1 Vylon monster in your graveyard, equip that target to this card. And during either player's turn, when a monster effect activates, you can send 1 equipped card equipped to this card to the graveyard to negate the activation and destroy that monster. So a 3200 attack point monster that has the equip option once per turn, but also being able to send that resource against your opponent and also get rid of a good number of monsters that were normal summoned or set on the turn makes it a pretty good monster to go into for that power, just being a level 10 monster, needing those 2 tuners and 1 non-tuner to make. Also, the 1 copy of Vylon Epsilon for our level 8 monster. For the equip cards equipped to this card cannot be targeted by spell trap or spell and trap effects or monster card effects. Once per turn, you can send one equip card equipped to this card to the graveyard to select one monster your opponent controls and destroy it. So more destruction power with Epsilon, with the last being our level 9 Vylon Alpha. When it's synchro summoned, you can target one equip spell card in your graveyard, equip that target to this card, and while it's equipped with equip card, it cannot be destroyed by the effects of spell and traps except for equip cards. So more of a protection card as well, but just another level 9 synchro option depending on the tuners we have on the field also. For our other synchro monsters, the 1 copy of Power Tool Dragon to give us more of an equip spell search, 1 copy of Borreload Savage Dragon, 1 Psyframe Lord Omega, 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 Psychic and Punisher as well, to stick for more of the light attribute monsters with our Gozen match lock also. And then for the Link monsters, the 1 copy of Linkuriboh, 1 Platinum Gadget, and having the Vylon monsters be machines, it can just help to extend our machine monster special summon onto the field. Nightmare Phoenix, SP Little Knight, and then also IP Masquerena and Nightmare Unicorn to finish off the rest of the Link monsters as well. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, as I said before, a lot of times when you're not even going for the synchro play, you have more of the option just with your different Vylon equip spells to go for that search power for your synchro play. But other than that, if you can rely on your different Vylon monsters giving you more of an equip spell search like Vylon Cube, you can even just have that setup of, like I said, the Vylon Sphere, targeting a face-up monster you control, equipping the target to that card to give you that additional resource of an equip card on the field, where Sphere will come in handy for that off-tuner monster, since with cards like our Vylon Alpha, you need specifically a Vylon tuner to make it as well. Having the needed level 8 monster in the form of Epsilon, you can use the Sphere and the Epsilon to go into the Alpha, and then needing the 2 tuners, as I stated before, for your Vylon Omega as well. And then using the additional monsters that we have, the normal summon of double summon as well. So if you have double summon and then one of your non-tuner Vylons and one of your level 4 tuners, you can go for the Vylon Vanguard summon, and then going for the double summon to then summon out your Vylon Prison. Having the 2 monsters needed for your level 8 synchro play, you will then have your Vylon Epsilon summoned out onto the field. Then with this card, equip cards equipped to it cannot be targeted by spell or trap effects, but then you will have the play of your Vylon Prism to pay 500 life points to target face a monster you control and equip it to that card, giving you the equip card needed for your Epsilon to then use that equipped spell to destroy one card your opponent also controls. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, Vylons are sometimes just overlooked because they're not the strongest meta deck that we got from some of the Hidden Arsenal decks, but still one of the more fun synchro variants to look into. And I hope you all enjoyed. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Twig out.